Hi, and welcome to The Bright Balloon, a podcast where I'm sharing bright ideas for your balloon business. My name is Sarah Meyer, and I'm a balloon business owner like you, and I love the creative side of what I do, but I really love the business side, which seems to be the part where most people struggle. So I'm here to help. Each week, I'm bringing you an episode full of bite-sized tips you can use to make tiny improvements to your business. I want you to make more money, eliminate stress, and learn along with me as we grow our creative businesses together. Welcome to The Bright Balloon. Hello and welcome to this episode. Today, I am chatting with Joette, who is the balloon coach, and we are talking about how to say no to your clients and set healthy limits without them knowing and without it feeling like you're always saying no. So we talk about everything from healthy boundaries to clear communication to Summit, which is coming up in November, and Balloon Boss Mastermind, and the power of setting goals, setting limitations, and setting yourself up for success in the long term. So without further ado, let's get into this episode with Joette from ballooncoach.com. Welcome to this episode. Joette, the balloon coach, is here. Not only is she back again, but she is the show sponsor and a friend. And you hear me talk about Balloon Coach all the time and what it's done for my business. So happy to talk to you today. And we are going to frame this conversation around how to tell your customers no without constantly saying no. Basically standing up for yourself. I feel like right now we're being pulled in a lot of different directions, last minute deadlines, colors we can't get in stock, shipping that's delayed. And how do we not put all of that on our customers, or at least how do we set those limits so that we're still making money and they're not offended and everyone's happy? So that we're going to kind of just wing it and see where we end up today. But we have a lot of good ideas to chat about. So Joette, do you just want to kick us off? We talked before I started recording just kind of about the current climate in balloons. This shortage, I think, is driving everyone kind of crazy. So do you just want to give us some tips on what we should and should not be doing right now during these times?
Awesome. Yeah. The number one thing is that we have to set limits and we have to set boundaries. And we don't want to put off onto our clients that it takes us forever to order in balloons. We don't want to make them feel horrible about wanting to use our services, but we want to just educate them on what's available and what's not. And just to be able to simply say, you know what, there's currently an international balloon shortage and there's a delay in getting certain colors in. So we're going to look forward to making something that's beautiful and coordinates well with your event, but it might not be that picture perfect exact match of the thing that you sent me. And that's okay. Because back when I started in the industry back in 2003, we told brides all the time, man, I love the colors for your wedding. They're beautiful, but we're going to coordinate with it. And I never promised to be an exact match. I said, what we're going to do is create something lovely, inspired by the photo that you sent me, using my talent and my time, and we are going to make you something great. And so I think the number one thing is if we can just kind of let ourselves off the hook of feeling like we have to exactly duplicate a picture that somebody sends us, and that we're just clear with them and saying, you know what, there is this little hiccup going on right now. Cars can't get the little microchips that they need to be able to.
Oh, I know. There's a shortage on everything. I feel like people aren't even surprised anymore when I tell them.
Exactly. So it's okay to say, I'm sorry, but right now that specialty color that you're looking for is not available, but we're going to be able to incorporate that color through flowers or fabric or ribbon or something that the client actually has, so going ahead and just setting your limits and let people know what you can do. And then let them know that you're the professional and you're going to take care of them, but you don't have to drag them through all your problems, but you also don't have to sit there and spend 4 days trying to source out the exact color that they want. Just go ahead and say, here, this is what I have available for you. And then go from there and just be confident with it.
This is a tip that I've basically been living by, and it is straight out of your mouth, which is don't promise your customers anything. Like, it's perfectly okay to be like, absolutely, we'll try to get this color. If we can't, we'll get one that's similar, or we will reach out to you, or we'll touch base, or we'll make it amazing and you don't have to worry about it. But I think to put the name of a color on the invoice and promise that color right now is just setting yourself up either for failure or for like $500 overnight shipping from another country. Like I've done it, I've been ordering these crazy things that it's like, oh my gosh, I booked this so long ago. I have to get this balloon. But I feel like it's given me a little bit more confidence almost in my sales, like to be assertive and to be confident in knowing like, this is going to be fine. Like they need to be okay with this. And the way that you present it, convincing them of that has almost been kind of like a fun challenge, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's kind of a game, right? Like, let's see what we can do and what we can make out of it. And again, it's just being realistic with people. And yeah, if it's not currently sitting on your shelves and the amount that they need for their event, do not promise it, because some of those things that you used to think were automatic are definitely not anymore.
Yeah. Black balloons, white balloons, like it's like 50-50 shot of getting those.
Yeah. On my summer tour, I was so excited that one of our sponsors was able to send me white. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing too, that I know you advocate for is being confident in charging those late fees, like last minute fees, delivery fees. Can you talk about that? Cause I'm terrible at that. I'm like, oh, I'll go so far out of my way to make you happy, but talk about those fees and how we have the right and almost we have to charge those last minute fees because we're paying those fees on the back end in shipping and in time.
Yeah. So number one, shipping fees have definitely gone up. Last minute fees have gone up, and also, and we're not able to overnight as much as we used to be able to. It's just not the availability there. So any charges that you're getting for doing a late fee and a rush has to be passed on to your customer. And then number two, you've got to think about your time, because now if you're having to call 5 different distributors to get that item that person wants, that's time that you could have been spending doing something else, making money. So that has to go off to your customer. And one of the people who instilled that in me the most was David Mahoney from Dallas, Texas, with Balloons Every Day. He taught for me back in 2015. He's done a couple of webinars for me, and I've gone to classes of his at other events. And one of the number one things he talks about is how many times his rush fees, his last minute fees, his time of day fees are much more than the amount of money that people are actually spending on the balloons. So I'm like, if this guy can do over $1 million a year in sales and confidently put on all those extra fees, then we should not have any problem doing that. And part two, I always say, is if you want to have proof of those extra fees, go to balloonplanet.com. And at balloonplanet.com, what I did is I acted like I was going to order a $69 bouquet in my area for a delivery. And then I went and I looked at the delivery fees, and I was actually able to get it over $350 for the delivery fee for that $65 bouquet. And people are like, what? And I'm like, yeah, because if you're wanting it late at night or early in the morning at a very specific window, there is all that extra fee. And people are like, but nobody would ever pay that. I'm like, well, then those prices would not be on that website. Like it is. And I know people who have gotten paid those fees for that amount of time. So when people are really trying to narrow you down to a super small window for delivery, and you're going to have to promise it within that certain time, you get paid more. If you're having to get up before you normally would, or you're having to not be in bed when you should be sleeping, every industry across the board gets paid extra. If you work at a hospital, you get shift differential. If you work stocking the shelves at Walmart overnight, you get paid more than the people that work during the day. And so I think balloon people and events professionals sometimes have a hard time putting that extra fee on, because we're like, well, it's just normal. It's the events industry. And I'm like, no, the party rental companies, the chair rentals, the linens, they all tack on extra fees for after business hours. And so we as balloon professionals can do the exact same thing.
Absolutely. And for anyone listening who doesn't know what Balloon Planet is, it's like 1-800-Flowers for balloons. Basically, it takes people like us all over the country and turns us into like one of their vendors that does these online orders. So like their prices are basically like algorithm derived. So they're probably more accurate than the ones that we are estimating and kind of basing off our local demographic. But yeah, I have gone on there too. And I'm just like, all right, well, my prices are pretty competitive compared to this. Like, holy cow.
Yeah. I mean, they have decor pricing on there also. So yeah, I always encourage people, like when you're not feeling confident about your numbers, go look at somebody else's online, and especially like Balloon Planet, because it is this long standing across the board resource that you can really check it out and look at the numbers and go, okay, I feel good. I can go ahead and bump up my numbers. And this time right now, everybody's paying more for everything. We have to pay more for our supplies at Home Depot and Lowe's to make our balloon stands. We have to pay more for shipping. We have to pay more for the balloons. So we need to pass that cost on to our clients and feel okay with it.
I do marquees. It's like the marquees are kind of like my only delivery item. I scaled way back. I don't do yard art. I don't do helium bouquets. Like if it's going to be small, if it's going to be less than like a couple $100, it's going to be a marquee. It's like standard. And I was doing them for 99 and they're real simple. They're just the base with the numbers and that's it. And they were selling like hotcakes. And I was afraid to mess with that 99 because I was like, I feel like that's really a sweet spot, And then I was getting more events. And all of a sudden it was like, well, now these marquees are cutting into my actual events because they've started up again. So overnight, I upped my price to 125 for a marquee for the same exact thing. And not only did sales not slow down, people who had bought them at the $99 price were buying them again at the 120 price and didn't say any. They weren't like, hey, why did the price go up? Like they did not care. They just were like, well, whatever. They probably didn't even know what they spent the first time. They just wanted another one. So anyone hesitant about raising prices, just try it. And I think you won't really see a difference in your sales.
Yeah, you'll actually be super surprised because I had one of my mastermind members actually message me 2 days ago and they're like, Joette, we are having better numbers than in 2019. We are busier than ever. And we've actually raised our prices and our business has increased. The volume of people contacting us is more now than ever after raising our prices. Yeah. And I'm like, yes, please go out and tell people this because I say this over and over again because I found out about it like 12 years ago. There was a group of us and we kind of challenged each other, like raise your prices and you'll see things happen. And we're like, yeah, no, like people are going to drop off and they're not going to pay. And it's like, you're hesitant, you're scared, you're worried. And it is this wild thing that happens is that when you raise your prices, you're going to find the clients who really respect what you do and things are going to snowball. And it's just this really wild, magical thing that happens when you respect what you do and you're confident in your sales and you're handling something for them and you're taking care of this amazing moment for them and creating a memorable celebration and not just selling balloons. When you can confidently quote that without stuttering, they're going to respond to it and they're going to continue to buy from you. So yeah.
Well, and I think when you're confident in your prices, I'm going to share my story. You already know it because I've never been so happy to lose a job in my life. Basically, I got a call on a Thursday for 2,500 helium balloons for Monday, which I mean, like, I don't even know if my helium supplier could provide me with that much helium. That it would be the biggest job ever. I quoted them at $10,000, which would come out to $4 a balloon, which I know is right. I think it's competitive. I think some people.
Oh, that's very competitive.
Yeah. And I was kind of worried. I was like, okay, where am I going to find people to help? Because I don't have employees. I'm like, how am I going to pull this off? But like, it'll be worth it if I do. And, I was getting all in my head and they came back and they were like, oh, we do this every year. And usually they do it for $5,000, which was half of what I quoted. And because I knew my prices, it was like, that's literally what it will cost me to do the job. Like I will make no money and I will lose 15 hours of labor, like man hours doing this. Like there's no way. So like to be able to confidently walk away from $5,000 and know without a shadow of a doubt that like it's the right choice felt really good because years ago I would have been like $5,000. Like there's no way you can't make money off of $5,000, but it's like, no, like that is not worth it. But I have that woman's email now. So she's a fancy local person, but now I have her email. So maybe she'll book me for some air inflated decor one day. But yeah, that wouldn't have happened a year ago. And also that wouldn't have happened without Balloon Coach, without Balloon Summit. I wouldn't have had that confidence. Because when you're in your own bubble, I feel like you can either think you're doing awesome, or you can think you suck, or you can think that you have all the answers, or you feel like you're clueless. And a lot of the time, like none of those things are true. Like a lot of the times you're right where you should be. And you just are doing what a lot of other people are doing, but you just don't know. And you don't have that validation. And that's really what I found when I went to Summit, just seeing people that are way ahead of me and people who are just starting out and like being able to relate to everyone on some capacity and like learning from other people's struggles. And being able to give other people advice about things that I happen to be, good at. And anyway, so all of this to say, let's talk about Summit, because that is coming up. That is my favorite. I love it. I'm so excited. It's in November. So give us your Summit spiel, because now is the time to sign up, right?
Yeah, we have a few seats left for November 7th through the 12th, 2021. And this is at Disney Springs Holiday Inn, Orlando. And what I love about this location is we are walking distance to Disney Springs. So if you are a Disney fanatic, if you need to do some Christmas shopping, you can do that right down the street and walk to Disney Springs. You can book for your evenings to have dinner at those restaurants that are there on property, or even we're on the Disney properties as far as getting the shuttles that will take you to Disney and Hollywood Studios and all of that. So it's really kind of fun that you can do both your fun relaxation time and be at our event. But the number one thing I love about Summit is about building relationships. And I would not have stayed in the balloon industry as long as I have if it wasn't for the group of friends that I've built. And then over the years, those group of friends have become instructors for me and mentors at Summit. And, when you go to other events, they're great and you learn amazing stuff, but you're like in this huge ocean of people, where at Summit, it's 100 people and 18 mentors and instructors. So I promise that each day when you're sitting at your table, it's you with 6 other people and the instructor. So a table of 8, 7 attendees, 1 mentor or instructor, and that you're actually getting, I always say, like, you can be sitting next to Sarah or Chris Potts or Liz or any of our other instructors, and Dante's up on stage teaching. And then when Dante's done teaching, we get to have a group conversation about what we just learned with an instructor sitting with us. And many times people kind of feel intimidated to go up to an instructor or a mentor and bother them, where at Summit, it's totally encouraged and it's promoted, because every day you get to sit with a different instructor or mentor. And then at lunchtime, you get to go select another one that you can go hang out and pick their brain by the pool or in the restaurant eating lunch. And then we have special time in the evening to talk about different topics also. So it's really set up to give you that time to build a true relationship with other people, that once you leave Summit, you're going to be like, okay, I know at least 5 people that I can contact when I'm stuck, and I can, ask for their advice because they've gotten to hang out and had a meal with me, or they've helped me build some kind of sellable balloon decor. And that's the other part. The sellable balloon decor is what we focus on. And I'm excited this year, Melissa Benson is going to be behind the scenes for us as our person setting up all the stage photo shoots. So I have a professional photographer and videographer who's worked with me for years, and they're great, but they don't know how to do balloons. So this year I'm having that extra of her working behind the scenes with them to make sure that every photo, we've got the balloons turned the way we want. We're going to have models come in and do photos with the balloons. And then also all of our attendees get to have a time throughout the week that they are part of the styled photo shoots too. So we get to leave with all of these wonderful professional photography of our designs by themselves and with people interacting with it, so that it really helps you sell what you learn about at Summit.
Yeah. The thing I love too is, like, the instructors you choose do not have egos. Like, there's no ego. No one is there because they want a feather in their cap for being an instructor. Like, everyone there is so generous. I feel like Marlene Potts demonstrated this. She was an instructor, but then when there was like a Q&A session, she was right up at the microphone, like waiting in line to ask a question to Brandon, who was like our SEO. Like, everyone is there learning, and like everyone loves talking shop. It's not people who are like, I'm an amazing artist, and when I'm done teaching, I'm going to go to my room. Not that I've ever experienced that, but like, there is a little bit of like star quality when they bring in these people who are like amazing distortion experts. And I've sat through classes where I'm like, this is all amazing. I'll never do any of this because I can't and I don't want to, versus taking furious pages of notes at Summit, like all of these ideas that I could like put into action. Not even when I got home, like literally when I was there, like I had my laptop out and I was like updating my website and I was Googling and I was bookmarking things. Like, it is a real learning opportunity. And that's why I think for me, it's one of the few events I've gone to where I came home and I wasn't like exhausted and burnt out. And like, sometimes I feel like I need a break from balloons for like 2 weeks after a convention, just because I'm so ballooned out. But here it was just like, all right, I am ready to go, because it's business focused. So I think it's people who love talking shop. They want to grow their business. Everyone's at different levels. So there's people who are just like starting, like brand new people. but then there's people who have been making a full-time living for 25 years and everyone's on the same plane. Like there is no hierarchy, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. And I think that's the cool thing that our industry is showing right now is no matter if you're brand new to the industry or if you've been in the industry for 40 years, right now balloons are hotter than ever. There's more demand than ever. So a lot of people are telling me like, Joette, isn't it scary that there's so many new people in the industry? I'm like, no, it's phenomenal because it is this really great opportunity for those of us who've been in the industry a long time that we need to step up our game and make sure that our social marketing is on point, that our customer service is excellent, and that we provide a good product. So it makes us be better. And then those people who are coming into the industry new, if they are ready to learn from the people who are established in the industry and what that proven method is, it works for making sure that your online presence is good and that your decor is solid. Everybody's on an even playing field, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been fun to see like Tabitha Miller and just see how she's really bloomed after the last 2 years at Summit.
I keep trying to get her on the podcast. She's just so dang busy. That girl is like the Energizer bunny. She is so busy, but I can't wait to hear her teach. Like she's my role model. I love her so much.
Yeah. And it was just fun because, building those relationships, coming to live events, no matter if you come to Summit or somewhere else, I am totally about building those relationships with other people, because when you're able to then plan your family vacations around going to see balloon people, it's so fun to get to meet their families, their spouses, and just see how their businesses really run. And I've been very blessed to get to do that with a lot of the people who are on my staff and that attend my events. So, bottom line is no matter what training you go to in the industry, build real authentic relationships with people, find the people that you click with that inspire you to do better, and then keep in contact with them afterwards, because that's what's going to keep you going when you're having a really bad day and you're having those clients that stink and that you're having those problems with finding the supply that you need. Those people that you've met at those events are going to be the people that may, send you the stock that you need because they've got it stockpiled away or whatever. So yeah.
Well, and then I just wanted to touch on too, what you mentioned, like there are all these new people and it is a little scary when you're like, wait a minute, I've been this big fish in a small pond for a long time. And now there's all these little fish swimming around and I'm nervous. But so I recently became a 17 Hats ambassador and I'm sponsored by them at Summit. So I'm really excited. 17 Hats is my CRM and their brand messaging, which I really like. It's like, cause they're marketed to all industries, like photographers, any service-based industry can use this CRM, but their whole thing is like, no matter what you do, it's about the customer experience. Like it's about the business. Like you can be the best person at balloons, but like if people are having a hard time communicating with you, if your prices are unclear, if you can't make a sale, like then yeah, that newbie is going to take over really, really quick. And I feel like at Summit, you learn those skills to kind of stay up to date, first of all, because what worked 5 years ago might not work now. Or like when you start your business through DMs on Instagram, you can only scale that so much before you start making sloppy mistakes and losing people's contact. Or, we all know the horror story of the person who didn't get the address for the delivery of the wedding and was driving around the city with a van full of balloons. But like, that's what I think Summit is. It's how do I learn some of these skills that are going to elevate me a bit, but also how do I run my business like a boss? Like truly, like how do I make this worthwhile? Because I feel like already people are starting to die out, which again, as someone who is more established, it's kind of like, phew, they're going out of business. But I've had a lot of people contact me, be like, this isn't working out. Do you want to buy all my balloons? And I think that's because of burnout and because of they don't have any processes in place. Like if you don't have anything sustainable, like you're for sure going to burn out because we all get there. Like we all get to the point where we're drowning. And like, if you don't have any way to bail yourself out or any tools or even any, like you said, people to ask, people like friends to reach out to be like, do you also feel like this? Because it's really hard right now. And that's what Mastermind is. So let's just talk about that too. Summit is the in-person event.
Yes.
Mastermind is year round. It is like a group of people, like-minded people, I would say. Everyone's a balloon business owner. It's a closed group. We have group coaching. I hope I'm selling this okay, Joette. But for me, it's about those relationships. It's about posting. Honestly, I post my horror stories in that group. I talk about like this huge failure I just did or this embarrassing thing, and people make me feel better or they tell me what to do. I posted there first when I got a 1-star review. Like it's support because My mom loves me, but doesn't know how to answer these balloon questions. My husband doesn't want to hear about balloons anymore. So it's nice to talk to balloon people about balloons.
Yeah, that's why I started Balloon Coach in 2015 is I realized that I was getting burnt out. I realized that my family didn't care about hearing about balloons anymore. And that what really had saved me is what I call my balloon tribe. And it's a group of balloon professionals that I met through going to face-to-face events, but we stayed in contact with each other. And twice a month, we hang out and we talk about our problems and how to solve them. And I'm like, I want to open this up for the entire industry to have this kind of safe place to ask questions and to learn from each other. And from every conference I've ever gone to outside of the balloon industry that's about business development, the number one thing they talk about is that you've got to surround yourself with like-minded people to keep your momentum going. Because you go to a live event, you get pumped up and you're good for maybe 20 days, but then life happens and we stop. That's why New Year's resolutions don't work, is you set this huge lofty goal and then you don't have anybody to follow through and keep kicking you in the booty to do what you need to do. And so with Mastermind, I just am amazed daily by what we can learn from each other's problems and the solutions, and that you can save time and money by what I did wrong, what David Mahoney's done wrong, what all these other people and mentors in the group share about their experiences, from those who are retail store owners to the people who are home-based. And it's just this really cool atmosphere to be able to go like, okay, I'm not alone. I'm on this journey, and it's okay that I fall down sometimes. There's this group of people who are going to pick me up and keep cheering me on even when I fall. And so that's kind of why the mastermind is so important to me throughout the year, because I've just seen so many people year after year go to conventions and they aren't making any more money. They're haven't transitioned from their full-time job to a part-time job, which they wanted to go into balloons full-time 5 years ago, but there's still something holding them back. And, or other people who are like, yeah, I set this goal to, increase my sales, but yeah, it still hasn't happened. And it's like, they just need that little extra nudge and that little extra support to be able to make those big goals reality. So that's why I love it so much. It's just really fun to see people be like, Joette, I took your script and it worked. And I'm like, yeah, it does. That's why my business was growing, because I used that script over and over and over again. And I think the last thing on that too is just like how we talked about earlier about setting limits. We have what's called the Thrive Guide, and it's talking about picking out the top thing that you want to accomplish in your business and your life. And you have to make time for it. And when you're setting limits and you're talking to your clients, sometimes you need to say, no, I'm not available, and say, sorry, Tuesday night at 6:00, I have an appointment and I cannot make a delivery then. And that appointment might be that you're having dinner with your family, but your client doesn't need to know that. All they need to know is that you've got an appointment. And so that you are more than welcome to have them deliver earlier in the day or the next day if possible, or that might be the time that it's time for you to hire somebody to do those deliveries for you. But, we started this talking about setting limits and saying no. And I think that's one of the other things that I've seen really help people have confidence as a business owner, is to be able to set those limits and to sometimes say no to a client so that you can say yes to your family, or to say
I feel like
yes
that's
to
a huge part that we haven't even talked about yet. I totally forgot. Like there's a huge component to Summit that is wellness. Like it is about taking care of yourself. Like I feel like I have joined courses or I have been in groups where it is like grind until you die. And it's like, I'm literally going to die. Like this is not sustainable. So I really like that at Summit, you have someone there to like walk us through visualization and set goals and like actually like set up like rewards for ourselves. I remember scratching my head during one of the sessions being like, well, I don't know. What do you mean? Like what type of reward after I hit my sales goals? Like, but look, my nails are done. That was my reward. I've been getting my nails done once a week and I feel like it's such a waste of money, but I love it. And I'm like, but you know what? I can justify this because that was my little profit treat to myself and I'm going to dedicate money. The other thing I did was hire a cleaning service, which I talked about on this podcast. Like I would have seen that a year ago as like so frivolous because I can clean, but then it's like, I don't. So what is the disconnect there? And it's like, no, if I am going to grow my business, having it reset and clean when I walk in the shop that helps me. Like that helps me get to work faster. That helps me be happier. That helps me want to do this for a long time. And like, those are skills. Those are things that we talk about at Summit that I've never heard anybody talk about anywhere else at a balloon convention, frankly.
Yeah. And I'm very fortunate that I've got Kelly that comes and teaches for us. And she is hired by local colleges, universities, and corporations to come in and set their staff up with great plans to be able to avoid burnout and to have better communication. And she's phenomenal. And I took a big risk bringing her onto my staff 3 years ago because I thought some people would be like, dude, we don't need to listen to this. But what I found out afterwards is people like, oh my gosh, Joette, we totally get it now. We understand why you brought this other component in that has nothing to do with balloons, because it now gives us the energy we need to sustain our businesses. And I'm like, yeah, we're human and we aren't made to work 24/7. And so if we don't set up those rewards, if we don't set time for us just to be quiet and still, or time with our families and friends and the things that we enjoy, we will burn out. And then we can no longer service our clients at all because we're no longer going to have a balloon business.
Right.
So I think that reset time and that really evaluating what it is that's the perks for yourself is so important. And so I'm glad that you enjoyed that part of the event.
Yeah, I loved it. And I'm really cynical. I was like, what is this woo-woo stuff? And I loved it. It was like my favorite part. I was like writing notes to myself and like doing my heart math. And I was like, I love it. I love all of it because I also have a full-time job. And I think a lot of other people do too. And I think you get to burn out very fast when you're juggling multiple things and then having to decide between things. And it helped me clarify, kind of what type of growth do I want in my business? What type of growth do I want in my career? What type of growth do I want in my family? Like where does that all fit together and can it all fit together? So for me, it was super valuable. But how can people have this experience? First of all, Mastermind, I will link in the show notes so they can click that link, but let's put the pressure on for Summit because it's soon and it's going to fill up. So how can people sign up?
Ballooncoach.com, click on Summit. And what's fun is when I get the questions that are like, well, when is it? What's the hotel? Who's teaching? I'm like, go to ballooncoach.com, click on Summit. And then where it says who's teaching, you'll see all 18 instructors and mentors. Click on schedule for 2021 and you'll see the full schedule. I encourage people to fly in on Saturday, the 6th, to be able to be there on the 7th. You can take your CBA exam. If you've turned in all your tests by October 7th, you can actually take the hands-on CBA test on Sunday, the 7th. And for those people not in the CBA exam, you can do hands-on training from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. On this 7th to help us prepare for our opening night party, and then help us have things prepared for photos that will be done throughout the week of all the different designs that we make for the professional photography. And the event does go through the 12th. There's a masquerade ball on Thursday night, which will be really fun. You dress up and we kind of are our own styled photo shoot models where we have this lovely event. And now you can take the pictures from the masquerade ball to sell to high schools for prom and homecoming, to sell to corporate events and galas, even large birthday parties often use that masquerade theme. So I thought it would be a really fun, elegant night for us to do. And then we have some fun entertainment for people to enjoy. And then Friday's classes, we're going to be wrapping up with some group discussions, panels, and we're going to jump back in the pool on Friday afternoon until 3:30. That's when class will wrap. And we'll take a lot of the items that we made throughout the week, put it into the pool, and I'll show you guys all those skills that people love to know about. How do we make sure that the things stay still that are supposed to stay still, or how do we let them float around if they're supposed to float around? And those extra tips that work out really great in November in Florida. So that's how you get in, ballooncoach.com.
And last question, because I do think we have listeners who have been before. What is new this year? If people have gone in years past, what is new that we can look forward to that's a little bit interesting?
Yeah, so the new people on staff this year, Dante is coming from New Jersey, being sponsored by Qualitex. And what I loved from him with his story in the midst of social distancing is his retail store, did over $600,000 in business. And so super excited about his story and talking about staffing. And then Marla with Balloonzilla in California, she is coming representing Tough Techs. And Marla is this dynamite woman who is phenomenal at networking. And she is just all about business, reads tons of business books. And so she is going to be sharing us how to do our sizzle, where your 10-second sizzle when you're meeting somebody.
Oh,
so,
great.
super stoked about that. And then other new people, Megan is coming for Batalic, and she is the one who's rocked yard art during all of this craziness. And so I love with her is she is all about knowing her numbers. She just bought her second van. She in the last year bought a house too that has her balloon studio in it. So she's rocking that. And then I'm trying to think who my other new person is so I don't forget. So I'm checking it right now. That's the thing. We have 18 instructors and mentors. And so I always like to make sure I don't leave anybody out. Another new thing this year is with 17 Hats being a sponsor for Sarah. I mean, how cool is that we've got somebody who's not in the balloon industry, but this outside company that does customer management systems that wants to be a part of the program and is sponsoring Sarah. I mean, to me, that's super exciting. And for them to see how the balloon industry is going and building, that there's so many people using those customer management systems now.
And Jenny Porter is an ambassador too. Did you know that?
Awesome.
Yeah. So there will be 2 of us there representing 17 Hats. So,
sweet.
So we haven't quite fleshed out all the details, but the way I hope it goes is that if anyone is interested in like buying, implementing, and getting 17 Hats like up and running, I want to help people do that. Like I want you to leave Summit with a CRM on your website, rocking and rolling. So that is an option too. So I'll have more episodes about that coming up, about how we're kind of rolling that out. But yeah, you'll leave with so much business stuff, so many tips. I'm so excited selfishly to go and be a student, even though I'm also teaching and helping. But it is a great time. And is there a deadline to sign up? Or do you anticipate it selling out by a certain date?
Yeah, I'm hoping that we will sell out by the beginning or middle of September. Okay. So I encourage people to check that out. And if you listen to this podcast after that, then just go to the website and see if it's sold out or not. When I do sell out, I typically put up a waiting list. Just because of social distancing, people ask, last year we were a hybrid event, which means the majority of the people were there live in person. And because I knew there were some people who were unable to travel, we did record the classes and allow people to participate that way. So I do have all tech on deck for that, so that if needed, we can offer that hybrid solution for people that might not be able to travel. Because I know I have some mastermind members in other countries who are asking if they can go ahead and participate in Summit virtually, since they're not able to travel. And so just so you guys know, it's the same ticket price, because the people who are actually coming to the event have to pay for travel and they have to pay for food and their hotel. So I don't think it's fair to give any kind of discount for not being there, because you still will get all of the notes, all of the professional photography, and all of that information. So that is an option for those people who are listening from places that cannot travel.
Well, don't wait. Just turn off this podcast, go sign up, and you won't regret it. I promise you. Like, I don't endorse anything like I endorse this. Like, if you go and you engage, you can't not take things away from it. And I mean, you'd have to work not to take away information, honestly. Well, thank you so much, Joette. This is awesome. Obviously, if people have questions, they can reach out to me or to you about Mastermind or Summit. But I'm telling you guys, if you're not a Mastermind member and you're trying to kind of get to know what this group is and what we do, attend Summit, and then you'll not want to leave us. You'll want to join us forever.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much for having me with your podcast. People absolutely love all of the amazing tips and tricks that you give out and all the wonderful interviews you've been doing. You're doing an amazing job, and people are loving this podcast. So congratulations for stepping out and doing this.
Thank you. I learned so much. That's the best part of it. I learned so much from these conversations. But well, great. Well, have a great night. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
That wraps up this episode. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, I tried to keep it bright and light in a few minutes or less. I'll talk to you next time. For more information about any of the resources or courses mentioned in today's show, please head to thebrightballoon.com or check the show notes wherever you're listening.